We trudged through the overgrown path leading to the cabin, the wind howling like a banshee. 3 years had flown by, and we weren't exactly the carefree teenagers who used to hang out here anymore. We all looked way older, stressed, and definitely not in the mood for a party.
Man, this place looks creepy,
muttered John, pulling his jacket tighter against the chill.
Are you sure this is a good idea?
Sarah, ever the optimist, nudged him.
Come on, lighten up. It'll be fun to relive the good old days. Besides, who can resist a good nostalgia trip?
We pushed open the creaky door, the sound echoing through the dusty interior. It kind of felt like the cabin itself was groaning along with us. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of old stuff and like decay. Moonlight streamed through broken bits of roof, casting long shadows on the floor that looked more like creepy skeletons than anything else. We all fumbled for our phones, but a huge bummer greeted us. No service.
Great. Stuck in the middle of nowhere with no way to call for help? Typical. Just when we might actually need it,
grumbled Mark. To break the awkward tension, we decided to play truth or dare. Something we used to do back in high school. Each question, each dare, chipped away at the fragile piece we were trying to create. Memories, both good and bad, came flooding back, reminding us of old fights and things left unsaid. It felt like there was a weird vibe hanging in the air, a mix of nostalgia and something way more uncomfortable.
Truth or dare, Alex?
Sarah asked, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Truth, I replied cautiously.
All right, tell us your biggest high school regret,
she said, a smirk playing on her lips. Laughter and groans erupted around the room as we shared our deepest teenage secrets. The tension seemed to ease, replaced by a sense of camaraderie. Then it was my turn. Sarah, who used to be the life of the party, dared me to go down into the creepy basement for 10 whole minutes, all alone. The basement? I sputtered. Seriously, Sarah. That place always freaked me out.
Chicken,
she teased. Fine, I grumbled, trying to sound brave, but 10 minutes is pushing it. The basement was always the creepiest part of the whole cabin. It was filled with rumors of some old tragedy that happened years ago. My stomach lurched, but I couldn't back down in front of everyone, right? Tried before a fall, as they say. Taking a deep breath, I started down the rickety stairs, each creak echoing in the dead silence.
Be careful down there, Alex,
Mark called after me.
Yeah, and don't take too long. We're starting to get hungry,
said Jessica. The air got thicker and harder to breathe the further I went. My phone, usually glued to my hand like an extra limb, was useless down here. There was also this weird metallic smell mixed with the dusty air, and it didn't exactly make me feel any calmer. Finally reaching the bottom, I fumbled for the light switch. Nothing. Darkness swallowed me whole. Panic started to rise in my throat. Then, a sound. A skittering noise from the corner, followed by a low, guttural moan that sent shivers down my spine. Wait, what? That couldn't be one of them, could it? But the thought of something way worse lurking in the dark was even scarier. I ran up the stairs as fast as I could, my heart pounding in my chest. When I reached the top, I was met with complete darkness. The power must have gone out. I could hear my friends calling out to each other. trying to find their way in the darkness. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my head, and everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying on the floor, and I could hear my friends screaming and crying. I tried to get up, but my head was pounding and I could barely move. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I saw Sarah lying on the floor, a knife sticking out of her chest. I screamed, and my friends rushed to my side, trying to calm me down. We decided to stick together and try to find a way out of the cabin. But as we searched, we found that all the doors and windows were locked from the outside. Panic started to set in as we realized that we were trapped with a killer among us. We tried to call for help, but there was no cell service in the woods. As we sat huddled together trying to come up with a plan, I couldn't help but think that one of my friends was capable of killing someone. I couldn't believe it. We had been best friends for years, and now one of them was a murderer. After what felt like hours, we heard a loud knock on the door. We cautiously opened it to find a man standing outside, holding a flashlight. He introduced himself as a park ranger and said that he had been patrolling the area when he saw the lights go out in the cabin. He had come to check if everything was okay. We explained the situation to him, and he called for backup. The police arrived and searched the cabin, but they found no signs of forced entry. It seemed that the killer was one of us. The police questioned all of us, but we were all in shock and couldn't remember anything from that night. It was like we were in a trance, and we couldn't recall what had happened. The only thing we knew was that one of us was the killer, and they were still out there. Months went by, and the case remained unsolved. We all drifted apart, too traumatized by the events of that night to even talk to each other. But then, one day, I received a letter in the mail. It was from one of my friends, apologizing for what happened and confessing to being the killer. I couldn't believe it. It was someone I had known for years, someone I had trusted with my life. The letter explained that they had been struggling with mental health issues and had a sudden breakdown that night. They couldn't remember anything, but the guilt ate away at them, and they had to confess. The letter, crumpled and stained with tears, lay heavy in my lap. The confession within it was a bitter pill to swallow. A part of me craved to share it with the others, to understand what truly happened that night in the cabin. But the raw vulnerability in the words, the plea for a shred of forgiveness, held me back. Months bled into years. The news cycle moved on, the unsolved case fading into obscurity. But the memory of that night, the chilling whispers of paranoia, remained etched in our minds. We were like shattered fragments, forever marked by the trauma. Attempts to reconnect with others were met with a wall of silence. The phone calls unanswered, messages left unread. We were a fractured family, bound by a horrifying secret we couldn't escape. One day, a notification on my phone jolted me. It was a news article, the headline screaming, "Local man found dead in abandoned cabin." A cold dread washed over me as I clicked on the link. The grainy picture confirmed my worst fears. It was the cabin, and sprawled on the dusty floor, lifeless eyes staring vacantly, was the friend who confessed. The authorities ruled it a suicide, a tragic end to a troubled soul. But a gnawing suspicion lingered in my mind. Could it be more? Was this a desperate attempt to erase the horrors inflicted upon us, to take the secret to his grave? The mystery remained unsolved, another layer added to the tragedy. The reunion, meant to rekindle a lost flame, had become a pyre that consumed our friendship and claimed 2 lives. We were left with the ashes of what was, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of even the most familiar faces. The reunion cabin, once a symbol of carefree youth, now stood as a haunted monument to a bond broken and a life lost. The question that echoed in the hollowness of my heart remained unanswered. Was the true horror the events of that night? Or the chilling possibility that the darkness we encountered wasn't contained within the cabin walls, but resided within one of us all along?